LEGO Star Wars: The Skywalker Saga was a bit of a curiosity when it was first announced. And since 2005, there have been 4 LEGO Star Wars games. The prequel trilogy, the original trilogy, and The Force Awakens had all been adapted into LEGO games. There was even a LEGO game for the Clone Wars.
Hello there.
In many ways, LEGO Star Wars was the brick the LEGO game empire was built on. Though an argument could be made that LEGO Island 2 Brickster's Revenge walked so LEGO Star Wars could run, but I digress. Despite this history, the Skywalker Saga simply isn't a retread of the old LEGO Star Wars games. In many areas, it's a complete revamp of the tried and true LEGO formula, though in some other crucial ways, the Skywalker Saga is more or less business as usual. LEGO Star Wars and LEGO Star Wars 2, the original trilogy, retold the stories of the first 6 films through slapstick comedy and the LEGO equivalent of Simlish. The fourth was an adaptation of The Force Awakens and featured full voice acting.
1/4 portion.
If you're keeping count, that means that of the 9 movies covered in the Skywalker Saga, only 2 of them haven't already received the LEGO treatment. And if you're wondering if Skywalker Saga is just a rehash of what came before, rest assured that that's not quite the case. The best way to put it is that if LEGO Star Wars was funny games, then the Skywalker Saga is Funny Games 2007. 2 incredibly similar but different takes on the same material. Joe, is anyone but you gonna get that?
Zipper gets it.
I get it.
See? Be like Zipper. Or use Google.
I really don't know why I try sometimes, but moving on! The first thing you'll notice when booting up the Skywalker Saga is that you can choose what saga you want to explore first, be it chronological, release, or machete order. You can even more or less journey through the saga however you see fit. No matter what order you choose to play though, the mission structure is quite unique. The closest comparison I can make is something like Dragon Age Inquisition. It's not exactly open world, but there are very wide open areas for you to explore on most of the Skywalker Saga's 24 planets. Take Coruscant, for example. You can explore the Senate, Jedi Temple, and even go to the heart of the city, which winds up feeling like the closest we'll ever get to the LEGO Blade Runner. I really wanted that game. Anyway, this focus on open area traversal isn't limited to just the planets. The Skywalker Saga's space gameplay is surprisingly robust. You can jump to light speed and travel from planet to planet at will. While in space, you can engage with ship thieves, shoot down comets filled with Kyber bricks and LEGO studs, or get into full-scale dogfights. If you were ever curious how a LEGO Ace combat would turn out, the Skywalker Saga has your answer. We felt that the space combat was honestly where this game truly shined the brightest. If they made the LEGO equivalent of Star Wars Squadrons, we would definitely play it, and if you're looking for bang for your buck, the Skywalker Saga certainly has it for you. There are so many things to do and collect in this game. There are over 380 playable characters. Now, while some of these are just the same character but in a different outfit or older, that doesn't discount how many characters, both notable and obscure, they've managed to cram into this game. The same can be said for the ships. True to LEGO game tradition, the Skywalker Saga is jam-packed with things to collect, be it mini kits, Kyber blocks, or studs. If you're the type who needs to collect everything, sorry Gerard, the Skywalker Saga will give you plenty to do. Now, while the campaign will take you about 12 to 18 hours to complete, once you finish the game, you'll be able to travel to all 23 planets at will in free play mode. The amount of unlockables and the sheer scale of the game world mean you'll have plenty of things to do even after the credits roll. The trademark LEGO charm is still there. There's a delight in seeing iconic Star Wars moments rendered in LEGO form. Now, while the humor doesn't quite land as much as it did in the previous games, there were quite a few gags that elicited a chuckle out of us.
I am a Jedi. Like my father before me.
So be it, Jedi.
This game actually manages to make Rise of Skywalker less stupid. It's still dumb, sure, but at least the giant fetch quest makes a bit more sense in a video game. Overall though, LEGO Star Wars The Skywalker Saga has a lot of potential that it never quite fulfills. It's the Michael Cimino of LEGO games. Did you just write this for Zipper?
Maybe.
I appreciate that, man.
I got you.
The The Skywalker Saga opens with a stirring rendition of the Star Wars moments across the trilogy set to John Williams' iconic score. It initially gives the impression that this is going to be an actual attempt at adapting the Skywalker Saga into LEGO form. But no, despite all these new additions, at its core, it's the same hit-or-miss LEGO humor and the same simplistic gameplay. It's not bad by any means, it's just a bit disappointing when you can see the potential at every corner. About a third into the game, I felt like I was more willing to take a LEGO Star Wars game seriously than the game itself was. I know that the LEGO games are traditionally meant to be fun for all ages. That being said, kids aren't stupid. Yeah, they can be annoying and yeah, they can do stupid things, but think about the games you played as a kid. They weren't afraid to challenge you. Taking what are inherently kids' movies and trying to kidify them even further is a choice.
Reach out.
And if you get mad at me for calling them kids' movies, think of the age you were when you first watched Star Wars. Now, not every game has to be Elden Ring, but this overly simplistic approach winds up blunting the effectiveness of the new mechanics. Take, for instance, combat. The Skywalker Saga has an actual comboing system. Comboing melee attacks with your force or blaster moves is pretty fun for the first few times. The game even does a slow-mo animation when you nail a perfect dodge. On paper, this is cool as hell. In execution, it's lacking, much like Chloe Zhao directing a Marvel movie. Oh, okay, seriously?
You ever think that maybe we're just trying to get you to finally respond to our invite to movie night?
You never invited me to movie night!
Wait, seriously? Zipper, I thought you handled that.
Yeah, that's on me. I forgot.
What are we talking about again?
A LEGO Star Wars being mid.
Ah, right! The problem with combat is that the game's difficulty never rises to a point where knowing how to pull off its combos feels necessary to progression. Combat isn't the only thing hampered by the game's focus on simplicity over everything else. Skywalker Saga has skill trees, plural. There's the primary skill tree to level up, your general skills, and separate skill trees for each character class. These are a nice touch, but they never feel like they have any real impact on gameplay. You can improve your health bar, but given that the consequences of dying are minimal and the combat isn't that difficult, you never really notice a difference. The most notable skill worth leveling up is actually the ability to collect studs from a distance. But by the time I got to the sequel trilogy, I forgot about leveling up because it never felt like it had a tangible effect on gameplay. Lastly, my biggest complaint is that the things that you do in the game never quite feel as cool as the things they do in the movies. Take for instance the boss fight with General Grievous.
I will deal with this Jedi slime myself.
In the movie, there's the start of the fight, a chase scene between a giant iguana and a gyrocycle, and then a final showdown on a landing pad. There's built-in escalation. The game version is, well, kinda lame. You cut off one of Grievous's arms, solve a boring puzzle, repeat. When I was a kid playing Star Wars with my Legos, I was actually trying to recreate the events of the movies or do an even more over-the-top version of them. If the Lego movies have taught me anything, it's that you can go bonkers with some Legos. At multiple points, I simply felt like turning off the game and watching the movies because that sounded like a more enjoyable use of my time. Ultimately, LEGO Star Wars The Skywalker Saga feels like a case of 2 steps forward, 1 step back. The revamped combat is cool, but the game is so easy that it simply feels like they just added some new combat animations and called it a day. The skill tree and RPG mechanics are interesting, but they never really have a pronounced effect on gameplay. It feels like the Traveler's Tale has the ambition to push the LEGO games into something more, but can't let go of the traditional formula. Still, the Skywalker Saga sets up an interesting foundation for future LEGO games. If they take the combat, skill trees, and exploration and put them into, I don't know, an actual ass Bionicle game, the next LEGO game could be really special. LEGO Star Wars The Skywalker Saga isn't a bad game, it simply could have been so much more. And that's why we're giving it a 3 out of 5. Into the game, I felt like I was more willing to take a LEGO Star Wars dump than seriously take the game.